Welcome to Pucknology After Dark. Sharks win 3-2 in Columbus. They outshoot Columbus 38-28. Bodker gets his first goal as a Shark, excuse me. We'll break it all down right here. Start though, should mention we are here every single game. We do live post game every game. We're here to talk Sharks every single time. And also, we are brought to you by Audible. Pucknology After Dark has partnered with audible.com to give you an offer for a 30-day free trial. You get an audiobook that's all your own. You can choose from something like 180,000 titles. It's a great service. I actually use it personally. I really like it. So check it out. You have nothing to lose. It's all good. And getting on to other business, we'd like to welcome everyone who's joining us in the future on iTunes, on all the various podcasting channels that we are on. So if you don't catch every post game, you can get it on your podcast device as well. If you want to join in on the show here and talk to us, you can tweet using the hashtag PucknologyAD. You can follow us on Twitter at Pucknology. I'm at ChrisJWS. You can find my compadres here at at I Read Pucknology, Mr. Ian Reed, and then at PuckGuy14. That's Mr. Eric Cura. And with that, let's go ahead and go around the horn here real quick. So I am joined by Eric and Ian. And Eric, you want to start us off with your initial reaction to the game?
Yes, good evening, guys. It's been a long day for me. I drove up from Anaheim and dealt with a number of delays, but make it in time for the game. The Sharks looked like they got out to a strong start as opposed to Wednesday night against Los Angeles, but they seemed like they were kind of controlling the game, and then that third period goal by Werenski, and all of a sudden they needed that little extra Tim Hortons coffee that they can get in Columbus to get themselves going to pull this one out.
Ian, your initial thoughts?
I thought, for first road game, get everything considered, it wasn't a terrible game for the Sharks. I thought they played well. I thought they controlled large portions of the game. I don't know. I mean, and they won. What can I say?
We got the Ian Reed stamp of approval there. It was not terrible. Just hashtag it right now. I mostly agree with you guys. I think there were some good, there were some bad. They controlled play for the most part. Definitely in the third, lagged a bit, but overall, for the first road game of the year that they get a win in, I'm not too unhappy. So, let's get into it. I mean, I think one of the big stories is special teams. I think the showing tonight, not great. That 4-minute power play. You had what should have been a shorty by Columbus that went off the post.
Yep.
They gave up a first goal to a new NHLer because, of course, they did. Thoughts on what we've seen from special teams through tonight and the first game? Ian, if you want to start.
Special teams obviously haven't been fantastic. I have like an underlying theme for all our ills right now, and in my opinion, it's Brent Burns. Brent Burns hasn't been himself since he started this season. I don't think he's been particularly good. I think that he needs to. I know I'm borrowing this from other places, but he needs to realize that he's not playing with Team Canada anymore. He has to play with the Sharks now. So a lot of these silly, overly fancy passes and some of the overly silly things he does, he's a little bit more aggressive than he needs to be. Like that Foligno penalty, there was no reason for that penalty. He didn't need to take that. So I think that I think that when Brent Burns gets going again, I think the power play will go with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of piggyback on what Ian said. I think Burnsy's overthinking his shooting or his input into the power play, and that's not good. I think his free spirit attitude per se was really more so important to the Sharks this last season. And I mean, 1 for 5. They looked a little lackluster on that 4-minute one. It's still early, and like I was thinking and was concerned going into the season with the short camp and how constrained it was. How a lot of these guys don't they played together before, but some of them just seem like they're a little bit of the still need a little bit of the chemistry put together to get them back into things, rather than playing on Team Canada where you might be not fancying on certain players to help you out.
Yeah, I think that a big part of it is simplify. I mean, they did get some chances. That it was kind of like, for me, it was kind of feast and famine. Like, they had some great chances, especially in that 4-minute, but then they had some moments where it's just like, what are you guys doing? So I think they need to simplify a bit, but they also just need to get more consistent, get the chances, the goals will come. So I'm not worried about it yet. We're obviously only 2 games in, but I'm not too worried about that. So this leads to another question that I've seen thrown out there on Twitter, and we can all give our take on this. But did the Sharks kind of take their foot off the gas when they went up 2-0 in the first? Eric, you want to start? Give your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean they looked like they did. I mean, they dominated the first period. I think the shots were 11-2 in favor of San Jose, and I think at one point the Blue Jackets didn't get a shot on goal for like in a 20-minute span, which is absolutely insane. You give them kudos for it. I mean, you knew Columbus was gonna come on board and get their act together, but to have them dominate kind of the third period like the way they did, and then kind of just changing momentum with the Burnsy penalty call, then they build on that, and then they just kept being relentless, and that's something that the Sharks need to work on defensively and offensively in their game.
Yeah, Ian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was an aspect of where they might have taken their foot off the gas, but I mean, hockey's played by 2 teams. If a team's down by 2 in the second period, they're gonna, in the third period, they're gonna come on. So I don't subscribe to the notion that the Sharks should just dominate all 60 minutes of every game. There's gonna be swings, and that was just that's just one of them.
Yeah, I largely agree with you. There's kind of the teeter-totter effect. There's 2 teams playing, but also it's just shown, and the numbers bear it out. Every single team that's up 2-0 or more, or 2 points or more, or is down 2 points or more, play differently. The team that's up by a lot tends to be more conservative, and the team that's down takes more chances. And this is not something that's unique to the Sharks. It's not. I mean, the Blackhawks do it. The guys who've won a bunch of Stanley Cups do it. The Kings do it. Every team does it to some extent. I think the Sharks did fine through the second period. It was the third, especially early when they were getting outshot. I think it was 8-1 that they were really letting Columbus come on. But at the same time, Columbus is getting aggressive. Bobrovsky really kept them in the game, especially in the second when the Sharks kept the pressure on pretty well for 2 periods. It was really only the third period that Columbus got a lot of traction going. So I think Bobrovsky really kept that game from getting into the 4-0 territory. So that's my thought. I don't think they took. I mean, they did no more than normal take the foot off the gas that any other NHL team would do. So with that, Bodker got his first goal of the season. New pickup this offseason. Some people said he had all speed, no hands. What do you think of him through 2, Ian?
Trying to find my mute button. That line has been the best line so far. It's not even close. Bodker's been great, but that whole line has just been that's a great line. The Couture, Donskoy, Bodker line has been the most enjoyable line to watch on the team so far. So yeah, I mean, Bodker's a big part of that, and I think that when you have a guy like Bodker, I mean, Bodker's a nice, flashy guy. He can, he can put the puck in the net, but maybe his defensive game, not always the best. So when you team him up with a guy like Logan Couture and then just a workhorse like Jonas Donskoy, good things are going to happen.
I completely agree. You have Donskoy, Couture, Bodker. You have three guys that can skate, three guys that have good skill, great hand-eye, good coordination. Again, like I said, going into the season, we were concerned about how the World Cuppers would come back. Would they need to take some time to get some chemistry going or whatnot? These guys have picked it up big time in the sense of they've gotten their passes. There's no bouncing passes or pucks behind each other or too far ahead. They just seem like they're all on the same page. And to do that when you've had limited time to get to know each other is a successful play. I mean, Bodker already knows some. Logan and Donskoy have learned it last year. But they've picked it up in surprising shape. Good timing, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. I think that line has been the best by far. I mean, it'll take more than 2 games to judge how good Bodker is going to be, but considering speed was really the downfall of the Sharks in the playoffs, we need speed. If we have to give up a little goal scoring for that, sure, but so far so good. He doesn't take too long to net his first goal there. Speaking of first goals, stop me if you've heard this one before. So there's this rookie, right? This
Zach Werenski
player. This guy. So he scored his first goal on which of these teams? Is it A, the Sharks, B, the Sharks, or C, the Sharks?
Ooh! Pick me!
Go for it.
I'm gonna say Sharks.
You are correct.
Yes.
Was that the slushy question?
No, not really. That was just me wrapping this up in sarcasm because what is it with the Sharks and letting somebody score the first goal of their career on them? I remember, I think someone compiled it a few years back where it was something like 95 players at that point had scored their first goal against the Sharks. And when you consider, that was probably – that average is probably there was around 22, 23 seasons at the time. That average is how many a season?
That's almost 3 to 4.
Yeah, that's a couple of seasons. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the league average is, but that seems on the high side. I don't know. What's your take, Ian? Any thoughts?
I don't watch every game, right? So, I mean, no one can unless you're like, that's your job, I guess. And even then, I still don't know how you do it. I just wonder if this is something where if we watched another team, if we'd be saying the same thing, like just because we're so close to it and because we're, and we don't have that abstract to look at, like, hey, I mean, other players in the league have gotten first goals tonight too. You've had Patrick Laine already get his first goal. Austin Matthews scored 3. I believe Mitch Marner scored a goal tonight. So I wonder if it's just that it feels that way because we're too close to it.
And there might be a little confirmation bias wrapped up in all that. I won't lie. It does seem like it's just it's something we hear all the time, or it's that guy on the slump. It's one of those funny things. And yeah, it could be we're close to it, or it could be just a abnormality, because I don't think there's anything special about the Sharks that would cause it. It's just if they are above average, I think it's just one of those things that's how
it's one of those
sometimes.
It's one of those things where you always had the "that's so Sharks" attached to it for years and years. I'm going to ask and see if Uncle Darren Stevens can confirm this right now.
Yeah, I don't know. He might be able to tell us what the averages are, but that would take a lot of work to compile that. And as much as I love numbers, I don't think I want to do that. But as we mentioned before, you can tweet at us, use the hashtag PucknologyAD, tweet at our handles. I'm at Chris JWS on Twitter. He's at Puck Guy 14. He's at I Read Pucknology. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat here. Can only do so much though while talking and trying to read and stuff. But yeah, if anyone has any thoughts or reactions on the game, try and send them our way. We'll read them on the air here. So kind of transition to a larger picture story here. Jonathan Quick, it sounds like he's going to be out for quite some time, and generally that's a good, I would think that's a good thing for the Sharks in terms of their outlook. The Kings are 0-2. They've always had pretty good goalies over the last couple of years, but not having their star for a pretty long stretch here definitely could play in the Sharks' favor. Your thoughts, Ian?
Well, I was all on this train until we were having a conversation in Twitter yesterday, and Joe reminded me that the last time Quick was injured and missed a bunch of time, they won the Stanley Cup. So, yeah.
So basically, you're saying they're 1-0 in the Stanley Cup when Quick missed a bunch of time,
right? Yeah. So that they could. I think that it's obviously it's a huge blow to them. I don't think that when you look at this team compared to teams past, those teams past, they had a much better defense core than they do now. I think that you're looking between Peter Budaj and Zachtov, I think, and those guys are going to get lit up with that defense being constructed how it is. I think it's going to be rough. I think that they're going to have to really have a good second half and climb back into things once Quick is healthy, because I feel like they're going to be in for a rough time.
Eric?
Yeah, I think the Kings had a much better defense unit with when Quick went down, and unfortunately or fortunately, depending how you look at it, they don't have the best defense at the moment, and so you have that. You throw in Zachtov, who has some brilliancy. However, unfortunately, he doesn't brilliancy in net. Peter Budaj got called up from Ontario, and the other problem is if they are to make a move for a goaltender in the meantime, who do you go to? You don't have much cap space, for that matter. And when Quick comes back, what do you do? Like, one thing I think Bob McKenzie mentioned, I think on TSN 1040 the other day, was if the Kings were to trade for, say, Ryan Miller, I mean, sure, Quick might be on long-term injured reserve. However, when he does come back, you're going to have to make a move right away to offset that loss. Unless Quick is essentially done for the regular season, and then all the hands are off, or all bets are off, because you're going to have Quick and Miller, and there's no cap come playoff time.
Yeah, I mean, I would never underestimate this team, Quick or no Quick, because they've been very good over the last 5 years or so. Obviously winning 2 cups. I think it is a huge blow to them, though, because when I see what they have for goaltenders now, I didn't even know Budaj was still in the league. And very impressive. And our own Eric Landy here, I remember, said last year that the Kings defense was not very good, and he said that before it was popular to say that. Like, there were some people saying it last year, but not a lot of people, and he was one of the people to really say, I don't think that defense is good. So if anyone saw it, he challenged John Mayer on that one. So, yeah, that little back and forth was a pretty nice moment. If you ever want to go back and look at some of our playoff previews on the channel here, I think that's probably in a playlist somewhere. But, yeah, Eric took him to task a little bit there, and he was right that
absolutely
after Doughty, there's a pretty considerable drop-off. I mean, they lost I forget scumbag player's name who
Voinov
got in trouble there. Yeah, Voinov, that's right. They lost
went to
him.
Florida.
Yeah, they've definitely taken some blows over the last couple of years, so they're not as good as they were. The goaltending, not as deep as it once was, because they now they no longer have Martin Jones,
who was the goaltender when Quick was out for a bit.
Yeah, so I think the Kings, they could still do something, but I don't think they're the Sharks' biggest worry right now. There's other teams in the division that I think they have to worry about more. Probably, say Anaheim, the up and comers like the Flames. That's it's way early to really make judgments. For instance, Edmonton is 2-0 because we know how Edmonton fulfills their promise every single year.
Yeah, and you could argue. I mean, I'm pretty high on the Flames going in this year, but both of those wins are against the Flames. They're not exactly, they didn't topple St. Louis or Nashville or something 2 games in a row. I don't know. I mean, the thing with LA now is when you look at their blue line, though. I mean, Voinov's gone. You got Doughty, you got Muzzin, you got Martinez. After that, it's junk. Like those 3 are good. Those 3 are as good as any defense, core in the league. But beyond that, there's just nothing there. And then you get an injury like they got to Martinez in the playoffs last year, and there's just no hope.
Yeah, I mean, you saw their depth was pretty well exposed last year in the playoffs. And this is something I mentioned on Twitter. I wasn't on the last post game, so I didn't get a chance to mention it. But the Sharks, or say the Kings, actually led last game for 3 times more minutes than they did the entire playoff series last year. Let that number sink in. That's how much the Sharks dominated them last year. And they pretty well controlled the game on Wednesday as well. So I don't know. I'm not going to write off the Kings just yet, but I don't think they're the number one worry for the Sharks in the division right now. And with that, let's talk about the standings here. So I mentioned Edmonton is 2-0, San Jose is 2-0. So the 2 division leaders, number 3 and number 4, are actually kind of surprises because both Arizona and Vancouver have yet to actually play a game. The puck just dropped. With Arizona, the puck just dropped a little while ago. It's 2-1 versus Philadelphia. But WTF NHL with the schedule here, the whole thing started on Wednesday, and it isn't until tonight that they finally get their first games. I know a regular watcher of the show, Davalos, is at the Canucks game. He is a dirty Canucks fan.
Did somebody say Vancouver?
Oh. You want me to boot you out of here? I will.
You're welcome, hockey jerk.
And Anaheim 0-2, Los Angeles 0-2. Oh, that sounds so. I love the way that sounds. And Calgary is 0-2, as you mentioned, both those losses to Edmonton. So, yeah, I mean, let's break down these standings. 2 games in, guys. What are your hot takes on this? Reaction, Ian Reed.
Well, obviously, the Pacific Division is a dumpster fire, and the Sharks are going to easily run away with it.
I was going to say we should fire everybody, but
we should fire everyone. I think that if you're in Anaheim, you're firing everyone right now. The Kings should be firing everyone. Calgary should just fire sale the whole team. It's yeah.
0-2, your season's basically over.
It's over.
Point. I mean, it's just all over. Puck guy.
Yes, if the season ended today, all your tickets would not be available to use. Here's the thing: with LA losing quick for a bit, that could kind of send them on a tailspin, which is why I think they might be trading for a goalie soon and get that goalie market going early. Anaheim losing to Pittsburgh tonight, they're dropping to 0-2 themselves. My dark horse was the Arizona Coyotes, and I'm starting to wonder if they could beat Philly to get off to a good start. That can only spring their momentum to get going. But again, it's the 4th night of play in the NHL, and everybody's finally going to get a game in. It's still early, but if teams like Anaheim, LA, and Calgary, keep sliding away, it could be over for them really quick. And I think I saw in the chat, if I'm trying to pull it up here, who had it? Would a Pacific Division team get in the wild card at this moment? I can't see it. I mean, I mean, I look at the Central, and you see St. Louis is off to a good start. Dallas had a good, strong start. Um, Nashville had a good, strong start, although they're losing to Chicago right now. Minnesota's always been in there. Winnipeg's, I think they're still in a rebuild mode, but if they get off to a hot start with Hellebuck and Line, you just never know. But
Well, if the season ended today, though, just if we're I'm going to go with the greatest take ever here. If the season ended today at 500 right there, no losses, I think the Coyotes and Canucks would qualify for a wild card spot.
Wow.
let's see. I'm looking at this right now. So let's see. The top three would get in. So for right now, even though they haven't played a whole game, the Coyotes would be number 3 in the division, which means they would take on the Sharks in the first round of the playoffs.
Can we stop this?
Okay, yeah, I think we've run far enough with this. Gone way far enough. We've done, yeah. Okay.
But hey, not as
Come
far
on,
as a Christian Ehrhoff slap shot.
Engage in the hot takery, Ian. We have to,
Oh, wow.
Okay, so back into it though. I guess the quick question though is not just based off 2 games, because
Right.
that obviously means very little, but based off the off seasons, what you've seen so far. Which team do each of you think right now the Sharks should be watching and worrying about in the division? Is it the Flames, even if they're 0-2? Is it the Ducks, or who do you think they should be keeping their eyes on in the coming weeks? Ian?
It's so hard because the Ducks, I don't know what other team says, we need a new coach, and we have this coach that, does really well for us, and he didn't jump over the boards in a game 7, which is unfortunate. But and then they look and they say, who's the worst team in the league? Well, that was Toronto. Okay, get their coach, because that's going to make things better.
It's a bold strategy.
Yeah.
Well, the strategy I think was, but he won a Stanley Cup, so therefore,
no, I could be wrong, but didn't Perry and Getzlaff basically run him out of the room last time? Am I wrong on that? Is there any truth to that? Chat, help me out.
I've heard something about that, but it's hard to say really, because rumors behind closed doors and all that.
It just seems like, and again, and that's a good point, Nick pointing out that the Ducks struggled out of the gate last year as well. It's too early. I mean, the Ducks should be good enough, or the Pacific should be bad enough that the Ducks should be just fine. You got to remember, I mean, 3 teams in the Pacific Division are going to make it. It doesn't matter if the Pacific's a complete dumpster fire where everyone just sucks, or if everyone's great. 3 teams from the Pacific make it. So, I mean, the Sharks obviously do have to watch their back to a point, because if you finish one of those middle seeds, then you're absolutely playing another Pacific team, and you have to watch that. Again, not trying to get to too much playoff talk in October, but so, I mean, you got to watch those teams. I think, Edmonton, I think McDavid could run away with the scoring title this year. And is that enough to get Edmonton in the playoffs? It could be. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be the first time that a player's basically put the whole team on their back and dragged them into a playoff spot. Calgary, is Brian Elliott going to be this bad all the time? I doubt it. I think that, Brian Elliott, here's another guy who's a notoriously slow starter. The Coyotes, I don't know what the Coyotes are. They're, they have so many kids in their lineup to start, to the point where they're alternating between Dylan Strome and Christian Dvorak. So, what are the Coyotes going to be? I don't know. LA, are they going to bomb out and completely be without, with Quick gone? They could, but you don't want to count on that, the second game of the season. So I think that you got to look, you got to look at all the teams, and there's no, it's too early to really pass judgment on anything right now. I mean, the Sharks are off to a 2-0 start. I mean, we could record an episode in 2 weeks, and then, we're 8-2 or 2-8, right? It could go either way. So I don't know. It's so hard to.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously there is no perfect prediction. I think I agree with you. The Ducks can turn it on like nobody's business. They can go on those terrible runs and then suddenly just crush the league for a month straight where they win all but 1 game. So it's obviously early, but it's kind of interesting to say, well, who do we think are the people?
Oh, for sure.
Go ahead, Eric. What's your
Or
thoughts?
the complete opposite of what the Ducks did last year. You look at Vancouver. Vancouver was in that second spot in the Pacific for a very long time. It was bouncing back and forth between Vancouver, San Jose, and Arizona, and then all of a sudden Vancouver just fell apart later in the year, and then of course they perfectly picked it up to win their last 3 games, where they could have had a lot more lottery ball combinations, and they could have been having Austin Matthews and not be the laughing stock of the NHL this year.
I think that's the one team. Oh, sorry, Eric.
No, go ahead. No.
I think that's the one team that I have like no concerns with whatsoever. Like if there's anything like Vancouver's in the Nolan Patrick sweepstakes, that's the best they can hope for. If they manage to be anything this season, I don't know. I'll find something in my room that I can eat that's not supposed to be edible, and I'll do it on air.
They're kind of the annual lol cow around here, Vancouver, and that's not even with the whole short house stuff. Said I will mute you like Tony Reali, son. But I tend to agree with you guys. It is early, duh. But I mean, I think for me, the ones that scare me the most are the Flames and the Oilers, because they are young and they have that speed. Because something brought up on the broadcast night, the Sharks are the oldest team in the NHL at average age of 28. Now, before you guys kind of give your thoughts on this, I would say there should be a caveat on that part of that is dragged up by a couple guys really pulling the upper end of that, because there are plenty of young guys. So, but speed is a concern. Part of the reason why they got Bodker and all that. So I don't know, Ian, your thoughts there as far as the whole age discussion?
Like the age and like it with the Sharks specifically.
Yeah, age, speed, that whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Look at the Sharks aren't exactly. I mean, they're faster now. And last year they weren't exactly they weren't the fastest team, but they just played stupid people that they purposely slowed themselves down. Was the problem in the playoffs last year? And I think something that again doesn't get enough. Like Pittsburgh just doesn't get enough credit for the way they altered their game to shut down the Sharks specifically. And I think that there's, that doesn't get enough comment. It's just like, I know it's easy to just be like, well, I hate my team. My team's dumb because they didn't win. But you have to give a lot of credit for Pittsburgh for what they did. And I don't know if Hurdle was healthy, if it makes a difference. I don't know if you switch out Pollock for DeMello, if it makes a difference. Like, I don't see, like, and with the benefit of hindsight, obviously, I just don't see how the Sharks were going to beat that Penguins team, period. Doesn't matter.
Yep. Tend to agree, Puck guy.
Well, in regards to Pittsburgh, I mean, we had no chance. Just ask every member of the hockey media about it, especially if you're with NBC or Sportsnet. I think they found what the two missing pieces. I was a little hesitant about David Schlemko, but he's done all right so far in the first 2 games. Bodker, of course, he had his first goal. I think was like a goal that you would have on NHL 17, where the puck comes right out and you just shoot the heck out of it, not make a move or anything, and it just goes in. And that's something that the Sharks in the past usually haven't. They would usually grab the puck, turn around, look for a nice pass. No, it's great to see somebody just shoot the puck on net and get it in there to get the scoring going.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you need both. You need to kind of be unpredictable. You need to sometimes just shoot it right off the hip. Sometimes you need to do a little altering of the angle of that. I mean, you need a little of everything.
Just like their power play needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the power play, I think that right now they just need to simplify and shoot. It's one of those cases where they need to be both. They need to be both crisp and, maybe a little, put some wrinkles in there, but they sometimes you just need to throw the puck at the net and make, let some chaos ensue, and in the chaos you can take advantage of that.
But that's why the second
Couple
line's
other
been so much funner to watch, though. I mean, it's because it's unpredictable. Like even the first power play, going back to the power play tonight, yeah, they wasn't very successful, but I thought the second unit looked really good on that extended look that they got because of the 4-minute penalty, and it's because it's not the same shit we see every game, and I think that if there's anything that would be concerning for the Sharks is that they're just so stuck in their ways. And look, it's hard to complain about a power play that was, maybe not the greatest at the end, but I mean, overall for the year last year, it was one of the top power plays in the league. But it's just other teams watch a lot of tape, and it's just you have to figure that people have figured out that power play by now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you think, but I mean, really, they haven't. And like you said, like overall, because I mean, every power play, even the best ones, all of them, they go through their droughts. They go through their times when they're just scoring constantly. So I'm not worried about that top unit anytime soon. Because as frustrating as it is to watch them when they're cold, when they're on and the pucks are going in, they are unstoppable. So it's kind of one of those things you have to accept that there's going to be slumps. Another note I had from earlier, we were talking about kind of how the game turned a little bit as it went on tonight, and this is kind of a smaller side note, but the Sharks won face-offs 8-6 in the first period. Not bad, not decent, right? And then from then on out, they lost faceoffs 26-13, which probably accounts at least a little bit for some of that possession, especially late. I know a chunk of that was in the third, but yeah, that was not the best. I know there's been commentary about Wingles taking faceoffs, about all those things. You can read it all on pucknology.net, by the way.
Great plug, Chris. Great plug.
Any thoughts on that before we roll through the final stuff here?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like the kind of the bottom line hasn't been terrible for me so far. I didn't like when I saw it at first. I was like, well, this is a line that's been completely made by the salary cap and not by actual hockey decisions. It's been okay. I don't know. It's been okay. I think that it's been okay. I think that look at if you're gonna put a guy like Tommy Wingles hasn't played center in a long time. So if you put Tommy Wingles and you're going to make him take draws, he's probably going to lose some. I don't know what his stats were for tonight, but obviously I think you're going to have guys that are probably going to be a little more black hole. I think Chris Tierney drawing tougher competition in the face-off circle is also problematic. But this is how he's going to get better. So
yeah, he got taken to school at times during the playoffs last year. But I mean, how else are you going to learn? Yeah. And I'm trying to avoid having knee-jerk reactions to Wingles' numbers initially because overall they don't look that great to me. But I figure, like we said, it's 2 games. The Sharks are 2-0, and that's good. Can't draw too many conclusions yet. We can speculate, but we should always temper anything.
Right.
It's just 2 games, and we'll see how it works out. Eric,
it's just 2 games. Yeah, I mean, I still think that those bottom 3 guys are still playing for their lives. It sounds weird because 2 years ago, Melker Karlsson was on the top line with Joe Thornton and Joe Pavelski. Now he's on the wing with Matt Nieto and Tommy Wingles.
That's where it should be.
But that's where we had him before. So
yeah,
it's just an interesting way of how things have changed. I mean, Matt Nieto was on the second line when he came into the league. He was with, I think, Couture and Marlowe, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice makeshift fourth line. It's fine, I guess. I mean, there's nothing significant about it. We're not complaining about, oh my God, they took another bad penalty, like a certain Mike Brown we would be saying about last year. We're not talking about, oh my gosh, why did we sign this guy? Like we did 2 years ago with John Scott, captain and all-star. But I digress.
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend.
Effing all-star, if there ever was one. Take that, Danny Healy.
John Scott, all-star. So before we wrap up here, schedule coming up this week, pretty brutal actually. At the Rangers, at the Islanders, on back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. Then on Thursday, we have Pittsburgh. And then on Saturday, to wrap it all up a week from now, we have Detroit. So that's 4 playoff teams over the span of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. That's, I mean, and when you always say about small sample is no overreact, like that's going to be a tough stretch. If they come out of that 1-3 or something like that, I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, it'll be a good test for them early on because this is a heck of a road swing. Only one home game in, and they're already going through the grinder here. 4 playoff teams from last year. I think all four of those made the playoffs last year. So, but it'll be a test early. At least a lot of them are relatively close geographically, with the exception of Detroit. So,
at the same time, I think they won 20 games against teams in the Western or in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, out of a possible 30. So credit to them doing it on the road and doing it against the Eastern teams where you can rally up points early and often, and they're off to a good start so far.
The East sucks too, let's be honest.
Yeah, looking forward to that Stanley Cup rematch. Any other thoughts there, Ian? I know we also have a question we'll talk about here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, the road trip's going to be interesting. I think the thing I'm looking forward to, or maybe not looking forward to, is the debut of Aaron Dell in net. We haven't seen him play an actual NHL game yet. You got to figure he's playing this back. He's going to play on one half of this back-to-back. I know a lot of people think that he should play against the Islanders. I don't know. You know what? I think the Islanders are better than the Rangers at this point, and that's just me. So that back-to-back, it's really that, 3 games in 4 nights is pretty crappy. But we'll see, Dylan. I'm looking forward to the hysteria if that goes badly, because I kind of just live for this stuff on Twitter, just to read all the social media, panicking and people running around like they're like the world's ending.
Oh my God, trade for Ryan Miller.
Oh my God, trade for no.
Everybody sucks and all the things are terrible when the Sharks look like they were about to go on the penalty kill with 2 minutes left tonight. There was a good number of like, oh gosh, here we go again, same old. Like, really? Yeah, but I need to try and stay out of that fray this season. And
I just watch it. I just yum popcorn.
A hot takery. Like we facetiously give hot takes on here, or at least we try.
Right.
Occasionally, our hot takes are not facetious, but we try to have a sense of humor here, like about these types of things, and keep them all in perspective. Had a question in the chat here from M. Hackle. Thanks for pulling this one, Eric. Would it be bad for the Sharks if they won the division regarding expectations? I don't know, Ian, if you want to.
It's never bad when you win the division. Like okay, I don't hate these questions, but I don't understand why we're just predisposed to this. Would this be bad if we did good? No, it's good if we do good. It's bad if we do bad. Like I don't know. I never really, it's like, oh, well, now they're the favorites. So, now that's when they're going to fall apart because they can't deal with being that. I don't buy into that at all.
At the same
words with them from Ian there. It's good if we do good. Eric.
At the same time, though, in this format since, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anaheim, because they were the division winner before, had started with they've started it with Dallas, Winnipeg, and Nashville as their first round opponent. And judging by how the division is going so far,
it's October.
It's October, yes, I know. I mean, look, the Maple Leafs are still in a playoff race, so it's early. But
no,
we'll get to that once we start getting into February.
There is no it's early for the Maple Leafs; they're already out.
Nick's just adding here, like, would have rather play. Like, I get it. Okay, I get that if we win the division, then we run the risk of playing a Central Division team in the first round.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. We beat 2 Central Division teams to get to the Cup final. The only team we beat from the Pacific was LA. I'm not afraid of the Central Division, especially their wild card. I'd be more afraid if we were the wild card and we had to face a team like Nashville again. I think that would end badly for us. But if you're looking at the Central Division, I mean, they're really top heavy, but Chicago's not what they once were. Dallas has even worse defense than they had before, if that's possible. Nashville still scares me. I think the Blues are still somewhat scary. But I mean, other than that, it's still Colorado, Minnesota, Winnipeg. Those are all beatable teams.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Like, here's my take on the whole thing. Like, it doesn't even come down to any of that to me. It's like, regarding expectations, here's the thing. The Sharks made the Stanley Cup final. There are expectations already. Like, period. And like anything less than getting back there will be regarded as by most as a subpar season. I mean, if they just barely miss it, maybe, but really, they set the expectations bar, division, wild card, whatever it is. Come playoff time, the expectations are there. Just period. So that's my take on it, at least. Any final thoughts, guys? Ian?
Nothing spectacular. It's so hard. Look at these shows are the hardest ones. Like this week of shows is like the hardest ones because you want to try and talk for an hour about, and you want to say smart things when there's no smart things to say right now. We don't know anything. We haven't seen any trends yet. These shows are the worst. But we thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Ian.
With that, make sure you subscribe down below and
that's right.
For these, we know
come
nothing.
Back in a week.
Come back in a week. We have something nice to say. Oh, sorry, never mind. But Eric,
I know there's a lot of talk about playoffs, but we have 80 games to go, and I will say this: thanks to Patrick Marleau's game-winning power play goal on the empty net. He stands at 481. I think, guys, it's time to start the Marleau watch to 500 tonight this season.
I'm pretty sure it'll happen this season. Yeah, good point. Yeah. I actually didn't think of that, but very good point there. So couple things here. I mean, I didn't really have any final thoughts. Like Ian said, it's early. I think that's the big takeaway. Enjoy it now because this is the part of the season where we do the nightly grind, and yeah, it's a little hard to do a show this early in the season, but it's fun. No, we're not doing Slushy's question. Sorry.
He said it on me.
A couple announcements here. So for those who are not aware, those who don't watch yet, Pucknology's Writers Room is on tomorrow. It has its own channel. Just search for Pucknology Writers Room in the little bar above here, or if you're listening on iTunes, go into YouTube and search that. You should be able to find it, no problem. Live show weekly to discuss NHL topics. A little less shark-centric, so if you're into that, there you go. And that's Ian Reed and a few others. Drew Weber.
Tomorrow it'll be me, Ian Reed, Kevin Lacey, Drew Weber, and one of our newest writers, Anna Q, will be on with us tomorrow.
Sweet.
Sounds good. Yep. And also coming each and every Thursday, it's planned as usual for this Thursday, is the Pucknologists. I don't have any content to preview there. I don't know what they're planning, but you should check that out. You can find that on Twitter at the Pucknologists, on the Pucknology Twitter as well, on the site pucknology.net as well. You can find it in all those places. It's our weekly TTG replacement podcast that they kind of recap the week and all the stories that have happened. That's AJ and Rocket mostly.
And Hockey Jerk.
And Hockey Jerk. Also, I guess worth mentioning, Sharks and Strikes is coming up. I don't think me or Eric are planning on going this year, but I think AJ might be in a few others, so we'll probably give updates on that. And if you're going, tweet us and let us know, whoever's there, if it's AJ or, I don't know, maybe I go. Who knows? We'll meet up or something. Who knows? What's up?
It's a That's So Canucks moment. Congratulations to Louis Eriksson on his first goal in a Canucks uniform into his own empty net.
Didn't I call them lol cows earlier? Like literally,
wow.
The Canucks just lately, they are just a barrel of laughs. The best, and I hope Davalos is enjoying that. He paid money to see that in person.
Hey.
Hey, I'm
okay,
jealous.
Of course, we paid money to see plenty of bad moments too. But okay, so with that, if we don't have any other announcements, okay,
I'm retweeting the GIF.
You saw that? Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. So check out Ian's Twitter page if you want to see the GIF of it. It's already all over the Twitters. Okay, so with that, let's wrap up here. So quick plug here for our sponsor. We are sponsored by Audible.com, Amazon company. They do audiobooks. I actually use the service personally. I really like it. We are partnered with them to offer a free 30-day trial. You get a free audiobook. If you don't like the service, you can cancel it. Check it out. You really have nothing to lose. Go to audibletrial.com/PAD. As far as sponsorships go and all that, we're not making any money here. Really, there's a handful of expenses that we rack up doing these different things, Pucknology and all that. So we're just trying to make sure we're breaking
broke.
even. Yeah, we're not getting rich on this, believe it or not. But we're just trying to make things better and try and make sure we have money to cover the expenses we do have. So check that out. That's audibletrial.com/PAD. We're also on iTunes. We are on SoundCloud, Google Play. I think
Stitcher,
tune in. All if it's a podcast place, we probably are there by this point because I've pretty much spammed the
on
internet.
Pandora, Zynga, MySpace, literally everything.
MySpace.
Yeah, we're on. Yeah, no, actually, we're not. No one goes to MySpace. Okay. With that, let's wrap it up here. The Sharks win on the road at Columbus, 3-2. Close game, but it's a win. It's a road game. It's all good. I'm at Christian WS. You can find me on Twitter. You can find these guys. Ian Reed at iReadPucknology. You can find Eric Kura at PuckGuy14. With that, have a good night. If you are new here, subscribe. Go Sharks.